It's now been 2 years since I set up my first saltwater aquarium, and quite a lot has happened this year, so let's have a look at days 365 to 730. Every night, after darkness has swallowed the light, I return to the front lines, armed with nothing but a torch, tweezers, and sheer determination. I slip into the shadows, scanning the rubble that cradles my fragile marine ecosystem, searching for the elusive beast. It's just past midnight, and the war between man and monster stretches on into its 300th day. But this isn't just a hunt anymore. It's an obsession. Brynvorax, as I've named him, is a cunning beast, one born of nightmares. And tonight, I bring this war to an end. Tonight we celebrate. After almost an entire year, I finally caught this massive bristleworm. Month after month, I watched him get bigger and bigger and bigger until I finally managed to catch him in my tweezers, after countless attempts of him escaping just as I lift him out of the tank. But there's another layer to this story, and it's quite an important one. Bristleworms aren't actually all that bad to have around. In fact, they are quite exceptional members to have as part of a cleanup crew, and they'll scavenge every inch of your tank, including all of the hard to reach places, looking for food and waste. So now you're probably wondering why I'm getting rid of him, and there's two simple reasons for that. The first is that touching bristleworms is extremely painful, and I really don't want to get stung. And the second is that when they get really big, they can start to irritate corals, so it's definitely his time to be relocated. The story doesn't end here though, because I've already seen another one, and it's quite big as well. So now we're going to make a bristleworm trap to see if we can catch Brynvorax's lady friend Brynora. Here's how things are tracking after a couple of days. On day 2, I ended up moving the trap to a new location because the first position was really hard to film. By day 3, the trap is still empty. Day 4 is also another failure. so I'm starting to think I only have a couple of big bristleworms in this tank, and after doing some research online, it is possible that my pom-pom crabs may be eating some of the small bristleworms, though the sources were really mixed, so I don't actually know if that is the case. By day 5, there's still nothing in the trap, so I've decided to change the bait from brine shrimp to just a piece of normal shrimp. After a full week of no success with the trap, I think it's time to go back to hunting at nighttime with a pair of tweezers. This strange looking creature is an arrow crab, and they're the best biological control for bristleworms. They absolutely smash them, and you'll see just how good they are at biological control in just a few seconds. But they can also be pretty aggressive and super territorial, which makes them unsuitable for my small tank, unfortunately. They have a volatile nature and a reputation for eating small invertebrates and sometimes even fish, which is quite well documented, especially when they start to get hungry. So while this would solve my problem entirely, it's not worth taking the risk for all the other inhabitants in my tank, most of which are quite small and quite peaceful. So after removing the head from the snake and finding out that I don't have a major bristleworm infestation, I'm going to retire the trapping program for the time being, though I will continue to hunt for Bronora in the meantime. If you haven't checked out Season 1 yet, now's your chance.
just like in a dream. Maybe I'm starting to feel what true love can be. She is out of reach for someone like me. Baby, you keep pushing me, yeah, yeah, yeah. Stop putting things in my head. Baby, 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 stop tempting me.
on, for the rest of this video, I wanted to go over a few things in a little more detail for everyone who wants a deeper dive into how these two tanks are going so far. We'll start with the reef tank and then take a look at the macroalgae tank. Starting with the Technique equipment, I'm still using the same light, the Skylight RL60, which I've now mounted with a hanging kit. The light fixture is just some copper tubes with 90-degree angle bits. It's pretty cheap and an easy way to make a light stand though, although I would have preferred some stainless steel pipes rather than copper. But there was pretty much nothing around and I didn't want to waste any time ordering anything online. I'll probably end up painting it at some time as well. This light was the best upgrade I made on this tank and it's been growing corals really well so far. I've even got a couple of easier SPS species going at the moment and they're doing pretty well, though I did nearly lose them to a salinity mistake which I made while doing some tank maintenance. I accidentally removed a bit of water and didn't pay attention to the ATO, which quickly topped up the missing water with fresh water, ultimately dropping the salinity from 35 ppt down to 32 pretty quickly. I didn't catch it till the next morning and the Montipora bleached out about 70%. Thankfully, I got the salinity back up to 35 ppt over the next few hours, and within a few weeks, it actually managed to recover pretty quickly. It's doing pretty well so far. I also sadly think that this silly little mistake might have killed my two prized pom-pom crabs because I haven't seen them since the mistake. Though they do tend to hide a lot anyway, so fingers are crossed they are still in here and I just haven't seen them. They're probably my two most favorite creatures in this tank. And while we're talking about crabs, I originally had 4 red-legged hermit crabs in this tank. They have all been killed off as well. They aren't the brightest creatures getting around, and I lost 2 of them quite early to my cleaner shrimp. He basically scooped them out of their shells just after they finished molting. And silly enough, they just molted right out in the open. He walked over to them, scooped them out, and that was the end of it. Usually when crabs molt, they find a nice safe place to do it, but both of these molted right out in the open, and they were gone so fast I couldn't even do anything. As for the remaining 2, I'm pretty sure they fought each other until one was remaining, then I think the cleaner shrimp got that one as well. So since then I haven't bothered. For the filtration in this tank, I'm still using the Owasa Biomaster 250 Thermo, which has been working great. I haven't cleaned it since I set it up over 14 months ago now, and the only maintenance I do is to clean out the pre-filter, and I do that about every 4 to 6 weeks. So if you're not familiar with this canister filter, it has a main canister section for your biomedia and a small pre-filter section, so you can quickly swap it out and clean it without having to take the entire canister filter apart. Really easy to do and it works really great on reef tanks, which is the main reason that I ended up upgrading to this one. And that brings me on to the next topic, which is nitrates and phosphates. This is something that has been a little bit difficult, but it's not because it's too high, it's essentially because it always sits on 0. And this causes some issues with some corals. So I have been dosing nitrates and phosphates for a little bit over a year now, which does help significantly. At first I was manually dosing, but it got a little bit tedious, so I grabbed a Chihiros 4-pump auto doser, which I've set up to dose all for reef and nitrates. The other 2 pumps dose my freshwater aquascape with an all-in-one fertilizer, and my macroalgae tank with all for reef as well. And buying this doser has been the biggest time and effort saver that I've bought, and it makes the entire process 100 times easier. So I highly suggest if you want some more automation, this is the best place to start. If you remember way back to one of the earlier episodes, I was planning on starting a zoa garden, and it was going really successful for quite a while, with most of the zoas doubling in size. However, after about 4 months, I noticed they all started to fade away until they all pretty much vanished, and I still don't really know what happened here. Perhaps the tank was running too clean. I do know they like dirtier tanks, so it could have been a nutrient issue, but I personally think something might have ate them, and I'm possibly thinking it might have been a big issue with flatworms. So I ended up switching over to mushrooms instead, which is super easy and reproduce really fast. The only problem with mushrooms though is that they have one hell of a sting on them, which I wasn't actually expecting, so I have to be very careful on placement because they do sting other corals quite quickly and quite aggressively. I've also moved quite a few of them down into my macroalgae tank, which you'll see shortly, but I do still like the mushrooms because they are super colorful and really cheap. Other than that, all the other corals are doing really well, and I have fragged quite a few of them since I actually got them originally. I've also sold a few, given a few away, and I do have some down in the macroalgae tank as well. The biggest growth of all is my original toadstool, which has gotten massive now. Here's a quick look at what it was like when I first got it and how big it is now. The other big change you might have noticed is that I'm not using a white background anymore. I removed that after looking at some other reef tanks online, and I found it looks a lot nicer when you can see through the tank, and it gives a bit more of a nicer depth perception. If you did notice, let me know what you think. Overall, the tank is doing great, though there have been a few odd setbacks here and there, which is a little bit annoying, but it's also part of the hobby. And anyone who says they don't have setbacks is basically lying to you. The biggest issue I've had with this tank has been the flatworms. I caught it a bit too late, as I wasn't actually paying attention to it, and I think that might have been what smashed my Zoa colony, but I'm only making an assumption about that. They're a really big pain in the ass to get rid of, and at the moment I do seem to have them under control. They're not completely eradicated yet. I don't actually even know if that's possible. In the future, I do plan to upgrade to a peninsula style tank, just so I can film things from way more angles. At the moment, I'm quite limited to filming from the front, with a little bit on each side. So I do miss out on a lot of the action that does happen in this tank. With a peninsula style tank, that'll give me 3 different sides to film from, so I can capture pretty much everything that's going on in this tank. I'll also make sure it's a little bit bigger as well. Moving on to the macroalgae tank, this tank has been running for 260 days and is also doing really well. A lot more simple than the reef tank, and if you do want to start a saltwater tank, this is the place that I would start. It's basically a planted saltwater aquarium. At the moment, this tank's not looking that great because it's become a bit of a dumping ground for some of my excess corals, but I'll be fragging those up and selling those at some stage anyway, so I will be able to focus on things a little bit better. Also, if you have been watching the series pretty closely, you'll know that my bubble tip anemone carnage is now in this tank, and it also recently split, which was super cool to see, but also kind of weird. Didn't film the entire thing, but I got the most intense part where it basically just ripped itself in half and then started to heal. So I guess you can say now we're going to have twice the carnage. The stocking levels in this tank are really light. I've only got 4 species of macroalgae in here, because it's pretty much impossible to find anywhere in Europe, which is a little bit annoying. Occasionally they do pop up, so I'm trying to get them as often as I can. I originally had 5 species, but my red grape macroalgae got eaten by the snails in this tank. Wasn't something I was actually expecting. I know sea urchins do this, but I wasn't expecting it from some of my smaller snails. It was also annoyingly one of the rarest ones that I had. At some stage I do plan to redo this tank as well, as I have quite a few different ideas in mind. That won't be till I upgrade the reef tank to a peninsula style tank, and then I'll see what I'm going to do with this one. Surprisingly too, this tank is actually the easiest tank that I currently have in my entire room. I don't do any water changes on it, and just make sure I top up any evaporated water. And I also scrape the glass probably once every 2 weeks. Other than that, the auto doser just doses some all for reef, and then I feed the tank every second day. Don't even have to clean the filter either, as the hang on back filter doesn't have any media in it. It's basically just there, which flow around the tank. For the lighting on this tank, I'm using a Skylight Entric FL60, which is a freshwater aquarium light, and it works great. I generally just run it on a nice natural daylight setting at 100% to give it the most natural look. Probably more of a look that most people will prefer, rather than really heavy blues. If you have any questions for either of these tanks, just drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you have any suggestions for some reef themed poster ideas, you can drop them in the comments as well, and I'll see if I can put something pretty cool together. Thanks everyone, I'll see you in the next video.